Okay then, gentlemen, there's obviously a plethora of bets available in a Premier League season. Anything in the specials that's caught your eye, James?
Looking at an outsider in the Golden Boot betting, actually, I think Sunderland's Asamoah Gyan is around 66 to 1. He'll obviously miss a few games on African Nations Cup duty, but I think that's factored into the price. And I was just so impressed by the way he settled into the Premier League last season. He scored 10 league goals, only started 20 games. And with Darren Bent gone, obviously, he's going to be the focal point. And I think he could sneak into the places. I mean, it's a really tricky betting heat, this one, because you've got Rooney and Hernandez, but then you've also got the likes of Robin van Persie, who, if with 20 capital I's, he stays fit, then he's got a great chance. And then Fernando Torres, who's kind of, you know, the only people who haven't written him off are the bookies, and I think he's still kind of maybe third or fourth favourite, and yeah, if he starts firing, he'll be fantastic value at 10 to 1 or whatever. But yeah, Gyan really impressed me last season, and I think he's worth a small each way punt.
It's been a busy summer as well up at the Stadium of Light, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. They've brought in some, obviously lost Jordan Henderson, but they've brought in some decent midfielders, and I think he'll get quite good service up there.
There is also a chance he could move on to maybe a bigger and better club in the Premier League. There's a few teams been.
I think that's sometimes something that people don't look at when they're thinking about Golden Boot selection, isn't it? The potential of someone doing well at a little club and then a little club smaller, perhaps one of the not so
the Maccans
established.
Won't be happy with you there.
Yeah, one of the more challenging.
But you could say if he's been linked with Tottenham. If he went to Tottenham, you'd imagine he would score more goals than if he was playing for Sunderland.
Yeah, he certainly wouldn't be that price, would he, if he was Tottenham's main striker?
No, he wouldn't. The two for me in that market, actually, one is Suarez. I just think he's a fantastic player. He's somebody that I've been watching for a number of years now, and he's developing into a real world-class talent. We saw that in the Copa America. He was absolutely fantastic. We saw it in the World Cup. I know he did the handball that obviously Gyan missed the penalty from, but and that sort of tarnished his World Cup when it shouldn't have, because he
was a real star, wasn't he?
He was brilliant in that. He can play up front on his own. He can play from either channel. And if Liverpool are to go well, then Suarez surely must score a real load of goals. And the other one for me is Mr. Consistent Darren Bent. He's been in the places the last 2 years. He's somebody that I don't think he plays football very well. There's a lot of things he can't do. His play outside of the box is pretty awful at times. But once he's inside the 18-yard box, he comes alive. He scores a lot of the tap-ins and stuff like that. I also feel he'll be on penalties for Aston Villa this season. Now Ashley Young has gone to Manchester United. There is a vacancy there for the spot kick duties.
Something which is big to consider, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you can hope for sort of 5 cheap goals, really, from those situations. And Bent, like I say, he's been placed the last 2 years. He was really a massive player for Villa last year. You forget that when he went there, they were in relegation trouble, and they finished quite well. And although that Young and Downey have gone, he will still get supply, because Nzogbia has arrived at Villa Park, and I think Albrighton on the right is one of sort of England's brighter, younger players. So I'm not too concerned about the departures of Messrs Young and Downey. I think Bent, he'll just go well again like he always does.
I think people scoffed at the prices that have been paid for Darren Bent over his career, but when you look at some of the players who've gone for huge money this summer, I mean, you're paying 16 million or whatever it is to guarantee you kind of 20 league goals.
Apart from perhaps an indifferent period at Spurs, he's always been there and knocking him in.
Yeah, it was difficult for him at Tottenham, though, wasn't it? He arrived and he was behind sort of the likes of Berbatov and Keane, and even then when he got in, Berbatov never used to pass to him because he'd never get the ball back off him. So it was one of those. It was a difficult time. And then when they all left, he was the only striker sort of still standing, and it was just so difficult for him. But he's proven that elsewhere at Ipswich and Charlton and Aston Villa and Sunderland, and to a lesser extent with England, he scored a couple of goals for England last season, and he's sort of in fine position to be the number 9 come the sort of Euro 2012, so it's a big season for him, and I think he should go reasonably well.
Talking of the Golden Boot, I know the statistics are not particularly good for first-time foreigners, but I can't take my eyes off 16 to 1 about Aguero to finish top goal scorer. What sort of season do you think he'll have, Mark?
I think he'll have a very good season. Yeah, I mean, he's just a great player, and I think these sort of Premier League, and it's too physical and it's too quick, is pretty much nonsense. And if you are to play in a position, I think if you're a striker, it's much easier. That a central midfielder might find it difficult to, you know, to be able to dictate play early on, because they put the sort of foot on the ball and they look around and somebody's sort of trying to break their leg in two. Whereas up front, he should go well, but the fact that no foreign player has ever won the Golden Boot in their first season in the Premier League, and you've had some pretty big hitters in there, that would be the thing that puts me off, along with the fact that they've got Dzeko and Balotelli, and as we speak, still Tevez as well. So that I think he's a great player, but the fact that he's not guaranteed to sort of score the majority of City's goals is my concern.
I think Mark's right about the settling into the Premier League, but being a bit kind of overhyped. You know, you look at David Silva last year. There are a lot of doubts over him. I mean, he's built like a cricket stump, but I thought he was really good for City. And yeah, you know, Aguero's talent, he'll certainly be a major player.
I think my special would be Swansea to be the best promoted team at 3-1. I'm not convinced about Norwich at all. I think they've not recruited very well, and problems at QPR. I think they've only been made rags in this market because they came up for the playoffs, but I think they could be more suited to.
Yeah, well, they're not a team that came up for the playoffs and finished sort of 50 points behind. You know, I mean, Blackpool were miles behind, weren't they? When they came up, and Hull sort of their dream run as well. Swansea were the third best team in the Championship last season on merit, and I mean the way they came through the playoffs. I mean, to play 90 minutes with 10 men at Nottingham Forest in the first leg, won the second leg, and you know they had the playoff wrapped up nice and early, didn't they? 3-0 up against Reading at half time, game over. So I mean, I've spoken on other videos there. I think Swansea are a good team. I think they'll stay up.
So if we were talking about your favourite special or market,
well, the one we should perhaps talk about is the new one on offering for football fans this season. It's the Racing Post Handicap, one that's close to my heart, seeing as I was told to do the line while I was on holiday. So it was one of them ones where I've kept an eye on it. We've done the market, we've set the line, and bookmakers have priced it up. So the line's the same, different prices throughout. And the two that caught my eye, one was actually, well, there's three. One was Swansea, because I think they should go well. But it's the two towards the head of the market, Manchester United and Manchester City, particularly Manchester United. If you think they're going to win the league, and I certainly do, I think they might be able to carry top weight in this one, and they were 20-1 the time we were speaking. They've obviously got to give, 40-odd points to Swansea and 6 points to Manchester City, but I think they could go close to that. And if you don't want to play 2-1 them to win the Premier League, then maybe that's the way to go.
James?
Well, we've mentioned Arsenal's defensive problems, but I do think that the 3-1, I think there is for them to be top London club, which I mean Spurs fans may disagree, but I'd see that as a match bet with Chelsea, and Chelsea only overhauled Arsenal right at the end when Arsenal were kind of in their relegation form at the end of the season. And I mean, Arsene Wenger says it, and he gets mocked for it. But they are just a couple of players away from nailing it. And if they do get in Phil Jagielka or Gary Cahill, you could see them being more stable at the back. And then Gervinho looks a decent addition.
Yeah.
Robin van Persie, Jack Wilshere, and Aaron Ramsey are only going to progress, which you can't say that about so many of the Chelsea squad. So I certainly wouldn't be lumping on the kind of 2-7 Chelsea to finish as the Capital's top dogs.
Yeah, and as I said before, I think Swansea 3-1 to be the best promoted team is a cracking bet. Thank you very much, gents.